I said, give me 24 hours and I will have something for you. And in 24 hours, Mr. B Hospitality was born.
You've worked for dream brands like Nespresso, Ferrari,
Yes.
and the Latin Grammys.
One of our hotel partners reached out to us a week before and said, Ferrari would like to do X, Y, and Z. What's your budget? Mm-hmm. Good luck.
Yes.
We were doing a VIP event, C-level VIP, like celebrities.
Uh-huh.
And I guess the majority of the attendees didn't eat that day. And they were literally walking out with plates that high. This business is trial and error. Obviously, I'm not going to say every event is perfect. You will fall on your face, as is life. And you never let them see you sweat.
Prepare to be amazed. Hey, friends. Welcome back to the Marty Davis Show. What if I told you the secrets of Miami's most exclusive, jaw-dropping events are about to be revealed? We're taking you to an unprecedented journey in the world of ultra-luxury events, event planning, dissecting the precise strategies and flawless execution that make these experiences legendary. Prepare to be amazed by the artistry behind the extravaganza. Hi, I'm Marty Davis, business lawyer, connector, entrepreneur, and the host of this podcast. My guest today is Frank Bustamante, known around town as Mr. B, mostly because he owns Mr. B Hospitality. He's Miami-born, and he's raised here in Miami, and his life has been in hospitality. His first job at 17 was a desk job at one of the noted hotels on the beach, and he has zoomed up the ladder to producing high-profile events for brands like Nespresso, Ferrari, and the Latin Grammys. Frank has mastered that art of blending creativity, logistics, and heart. We're broadcasting today from the stunning Mondrian Hotel on Biscayne Bay, South Beach's vibrant spot for luxury stays, waterfront views, and the iconic Bahia Beach Club. Without further delay, let's get into it, Frank. Frank, you've been in hospitality since you were 17. Normally, I'd say, a good 5 or 6 years. It might be slightly longer. You started at the front desk. What originally drew you to this world of hospitality, of hotels, and what kept you passionate about the production of these events all these years?
Hi, Marty. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the question. I fell in love with it. It was one of those instances where you start working somewhere and you enjoy taking care of people, you enjoy being hospitable, you enjoy being part of someone's memory. And obviously you get to participate in that a little bit at the front desk, but I knew once I stepped foot into a hotel, that was my career path. Hospitality, like the art of travel, the experience, just how to create something wonderful for a guest. That was my life. And I knew it right then and there.
Okay, very good. You mentioned to me a defining moment in 2018 that pushed you to start your own company. Can you take us back to that time and tell us what happened?
Sure. Such is life, and good things happen and bad things happen. And unfortunately, something sad happened in my family. But it was at that moment where I took some time off of work to realize that being on a plane for 200 days a year, as glamorous as that sounds, was not the appropriate life course for me anymore. And I think when certain chapters open in life and when certain chapters close. And I knew right there and then that was the chapter was being closed. I just didn't know how to move it forward. But thankfully, people in my life were like, you should do something different. And there was one particular client, actually our first client ever, who asked me, what are you going to do once you leave this company? I said, I have no idea. She's like, well, I'm going to hire you to produce our event. This is our budget. This is what I need. We want to do it in San Diego. What do you have? I said, give me 24 hours and I will have something for you. And in 24 hours, Mr. B Hospitality was born.
Perfect. What a great story. And that's all we really need is someone to give us that confidence to say, hey, we can do it on our own, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Necessity is the mother of invention, right?
it is so true. I was fired from my first job. That's how I decided to open my own firm. So
there you go.
It just happens.
That it
And
does.
so things change and you don't even look back. It's just so wonderful, right?
You don't. It's funny. We've been in business already for 7 years, and the stuff before it seems like a distant memory.
Yeah, a lifetime ago. So that's
Absolutely.
great. Oh, I know you do board meetings up to 3 to 10,000 people. How do you approach each scale with the same level of detail and care?
That's a great question. I think every meeting and every client is important. That's the way we look at it, and that's the way I've always looked at it. Whether it's 10 people, you still want them to have a memorable experience from the minute they sit down in that boardroom chair to what if they're having breakfast, their coffee. It's the little things, right? Like, does the CEO like a certain sort of pastry in the morning? Or, does one of the assistants like a particular Starbucks coffee? Things of that nature. I think it's all in the details is obviously something that's mandatory in event planning, but it also sets the tone for the meeting and the experience, whether it's 10 people or 3,000.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we utilize, and that's our motto for everything.
It's obviously worked for you.
Thank you.
You've worked for dream brands like Nespresso, my favorite coffee.
Mine too.
Yeah, it's so good. Ferrari,
Yes,
my favorite car.
that was a dream.
Can't afford it. And the Latin Grammys, beautiful people. Even good music. Can you share a story about one of those events that still makes you very proud?
The Ferrari one I'll touch base on because I think it was a last minute request. As you know, Formula One takes place every year here in Miami. And one of our hotel partners reached out to us a week before and said, Ferrari would like to do X, Y, and Z. This is her vision. And granted, and anybody that works in the event space in Miami will tell you, production-wise or not, if you do an event F1 week, you'll never find a vendor that has availability. And 2, good luck.
Yes.
Obviously, we tried to accommodate her vision as much as possible, the client's vision as much as possible, but we also have to be realistic with expectations, right? That's one thing that we feel very comfortable in doing. The client tells me I want XYZ 6 months out, absolutely, we'll be more than happy to make it happen. You tell me XYZ a week out during one of the busiest times of year in Miami, okay, I'm going to set realistic expectations for you because the chandeliers that hang from the palm trees are not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But we were able to produce a combination of her vision and our vision, and she was super happy with it. We had 1 week to produce it, and we delivered, and I was very pleased about that. We delivered branding, we delivered decor, the linens, the tables from A to Z within 7 days, and we found that the vendors that we work with, obviously, and have relationships with, came through for us, and we were very grateful because it was such a last-minute request
Sure.
for 200 people, and it was high profile, right? Ferrari's not going to do anything that's not high profile, and it turned out great.
Oh, that's good. No, well, clearly you have the contacts to make those kinds of things happen. Certainly, I'd have a hard enough time setting the table for that.
It helps.
In your swim show project, you reimagined the food experience entirely, I've been told. Why was the change so important to you, and how did it impact the event?
Oh, I like this question. I'm all about the experience, right? I like to look at an event space from the minute you arrive to the minute you leave. So, what is the attendees' first experience, first impression? What are they going to see first? Obviously, I took notes there, but one of the things I kept on seeing as I sat in the lobby of the convention center was people kept on going in and out, grabbing Uber Eats orders. And I'm thinking to myself, there's clearly a pattern, right? Like the food isn't good.
Yeah.
Because if you see one person to a dozen or so, okay. But when you literally see foot traffic coming in and out of the convention center space, grabbing to-go orders, I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is such a loss for the convention center because it's a world-class center, right?
Sure.
It's Miami Beach. It attracts great business all year round. So what is the factor that's pushing people to order? And I literally actually called my friend at Uber and I said, is an Uber Eats desk possible at a venue? They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I see countless people coming up to drivers and collecting their food. You should have an Uber Eats desk at the convention center of Miami Beach because people are literally just doing that.
Yeah.
He laughed and said, sorry, we can't do that. But in that exercise, I realized the swim show comes here every year. You have 4,000 plus attendees come here every year just for this show alone. Why don't we elevate the dining experience? So I made that my client made that my mission to speak with the convention center, sit down with them, and just review their food and beverage offerings. And granted, some of them are great. They just need a little tweaking. Some of them were not so good and needed to completely disappear.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you that on the after show.
Okay, very good. Yes.
But it had to evolve into something that was
had to meet the
edible and pleasant. Food you are attracted to food by the eye, right? It's one of those things that you see and like, that looks good. You needed a lot more of that. And that's what we focus on to create for the attendees. So I love that project because I love food. I love making sure people like what they're eating and enjoy what they're eating. So it was all part of the experience that the swim show offers. So that was part of something we tackled and a challenge that we embraced wholeheartedly, and we delivered. We now have, I think it's almost a dozen different local eateries at the convention center, from the salty donut to sushi maki and others, but they all get a flavor of Florida. The salty donut,
That's great.
Absolutely.
And you talk about food and that it all starts with your eyes. You only have to walk along Washington Avenue and see some of those pizza places.
Of course.
That pizza's been sitting out there since yesterday.
Absolutely.
And it's not too appetizing. And then you go along and then you see someone making fresh pasta in the window. You kind of go,
and it changes your
I'd
mind,
like to do that.
Right?
Yes.
Automatically the brain switches. And I mean, like, even something so simple as the first thing you do when you walk in, you'll see registration, and immediately to your right, you'll see Juan Valdez Coffee.
I love it.
So it's like, it's bringing those little small elements into, like, for people to react and be like, oh, I want a cup of coffee. Oh, that avocado toast looks amazing. Oh, I'm in the mood for sushi. And it's all locally produced and delivered to the center. So it's great.
No, all good stuff. Hope you get a gelato station too. That's my favorite.
I might work on that next.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no, there's some really good ones. Every live event has an uh-oh moment.
Yes.
What's the wildest and most unpredictable challenge you've ever faced in real time, and how did you turn it into a win for the client?
How long do we have?
Yes.
So two, maybe three instances come to mind. The first instance that comes to mind is we were doing a VIP event, like C-level VIP, like celebrities coming through this event. And an hour before, one of the executives of that event decided to walk the floor and move people around. And mind you, we had a seating chart for everybody. I developed with my team a chart for the kitchen. So the chef of the culinary team knew, okay, table 1 has 4 lamb, 2 fish, 1 vegan, hypothetically speaking,
yes.
Right? That was all set. An hour before, the gentleman decides to walk into the room and completely alter it. So Marty Davis goes to table 5 instead of table 1. Frank Bustamante goes from table 2 to table 10. So-and-so gets over here. Oh,
and chances are that switches didn't eat the same thing, probably.
Exactly. So needless to say, that board went to the garbage.
That's it.
And we developed a new board within myself and my team. We went table by table, reviewed the guest list again, and started marking who is where. And we redesigned a brand new.
And no vegetarian got a filet.
And no vegetarian got a filet. We redesigned the seating chart again. And it sounds simple in thought, but you want someone to have that experience of the restaurant style of experience, which we were trying to offer that particular client. So you want immediately, okay, salad comes out, your vegan dish, if you're a vegan or dietary, comes out, and then the dessert, right? Like, you want it to flow and have that sort of service. So when something like that impedes it, it's like, okay, we got to think quick on our feet. Let's stop what we're doing in the kitchen. Let's come outside, get the captains, get everybody else. You take this section, you take this section, and you take this section, and we'll start. And you literally start yelling out names like, Marty Davis is over here. What does he have? And that's the way to do it.
Oh,
and we turned it out in an hour.
That's great.
Yes, and it was flawless, absolutely flawless service. We had another client buy out the Frost Museum for a 3,000 plus person event. So you obviously work with the food and beverage team, you have catering, and you make food enough for 3,000 people. And I guess the majority of the attendees didn't eat that day. And they were literally walking out with plates that high.
Oh boy.
And I love a buffet. I do. But there's an art to the buffet. The buffet was created so you can go back and forth and back and forth. But these people clearly never were raised or trained or knew that.
That's right. They obviously had lots of brothers and sisters, and if you
clearly
didn't get
they
it
fought
up
for
front, it was
food.
gone.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I literally thought the entire night, and I never told my client, I literally thought we were going to run out of food. And thankfully, because of the caterer's readiness, we did not.
Oh, that's lucky.
But the minute I started seeing people go to the buffet and get those levels of food, I called the catering person. I'm like, we need a plan B. I'm like, do not say anything to the client yet. We need a plan B. Because these people are eating more than a regular guest would.
Yeah.
Like you and I would just go small plate, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe go back for a second. This was like thirds and fourths all leveled into one plate.
So in correcting that problem, did you just get the food people to produce more food and they
more quantities of a specific food?
I see.
So like obviously you can't create more beef because obviously you buy that in limitations or per guest. But we had enough fish to make something happen. We had enough noodles and ramen and pasta to make something happen. And that was the saving grace, so to speak. Yes, well, that's how we filled it in. And I told the client afterwards, I was like, your people ate more than for 3,000. She's like, really? I said, they like for 5.
Wow.
And they did. They ate almost for 5,000 people.
And you had to have the expertise to see that before, the buffet is empty. Because once it's empty,
and
it's
that's
a disaster.
One thing, and I say this and obviously the next generation of planners is coming through, and I'm not that old, but I'm a senior in the industry. So you have to look out for things like that because you just can't stand in the back of the room and say, okay, all is going well. No, you have to be walking by the buffets. You have to be in constant communication with the caterer. What's going on? You have to see what the servers are serving.
Sure.
Like if you see them constantly replenishing one particular item, go back to the kitchen. How are we doing with that item? Is it moving too fast? Do we need to slow it down? Like, how do we manage the guest experience? Because if you put it all at one time and it goes away, you're done.
Yeah.
That's it. No more.
There's nothing worse than running out of food or booze.
Or the planner saying to the client, sorry, you ran out of food. An hour, and there's an hour left to the party.
Yeah, and the excuse of your people eat more than normal is not going to sit well with the client, I'm sure.
100% it's not.
Well, once again, the reason to hire an expert. So you've talked about monitoring things.
Yes.
And how important that is. But there's also a creative process.
Absolutely.
And, knowing what the client wants. But the venue also plays a huge role in what the event's going to look like or what you're going to need to do to it to make it look right. Can you walk us through how you turn a space into that full sensory experience you're talking about?
Absolutely. I love the question because I always refer back to what's your budget? Because I love seeing a space like as beautiful as this at the Mondrian and saying, okay, we can do X, Y, Z. But again, it all depends on budget because you tell me, design it the way you want. I'm going to design it that it's going to be a wow moment.
Yeah.
And granted, we try to achieve that with all of our events, no matter the budget. But a space like this, I mean, as beautiful as it is, you can still highlight and emphasize certain aspects of it. So we look at the budget. Obviously, that's the first thing we obviously do. And then from there, I take pieces okay, what does the space have? What do we need to embellish upon? What can we highlight with lights or whatever, or a backdrop? And that's how we start that process of designing the decor elements and what colors play well in the space. And, what centerpieces, how high is the ceiling? Do we need dramatic centerpieces? Or can we do something of a lower centerpiece? And again, it also plays onto the client's tastes. Because if the client has a particular color palette that she wants to lean towards or is her favorite color, we try to incorporate that as well into the event design.
You said the details make a difference.
Yes.
From mirrored tables reflecting artwork or sourcing the right food partners. How do you train your team to see those details and to pick those things out?
Wow, all these hard-hitting questions. I like them.
There you go.
Well
no one
done.
said this was going to be easy. Yes.
That is a fantastic question. I think one, it comes from experience, because this business is trial and error. Obviously, I'm not going to say every event is perfect. You will fall on your face, as is life.
Yeah.
But you learn from those mistakes, right? Like you learn when not to run out of food. You learn when to design something for a client that works within the space. You learn how to read the client, because sometimes you'll walk into a space and the client will be like, oh, this is beautiful, but you can sense hesitation, right? And that's when I'll bluntly ask her, and I'm like, okay, you love the space, but I see hesitation in your face. And she'll be like, how did you know? I'm like, experience teaches you this.
Uh-huh.
So I try to, as much as possible, bring my team along with me. And I try to explain every session, every client visit, or every client meeting is a lesson. I had an approach the other day to one of our team members who went to a client, and the client's like, oh, pleasure to meet you. And someone said, oh, well, we've met you before. Sometimes, yes, but in this day and age with technology and everything else, people aren't going to always remember you or remember the face.
Right.
And that's humanity, right? Like we aren't always remembered in the first meeting, right? Your face, especially if you're not really interacting with a person.
Sure.
So my team member was like, oh, we've met before. And the client was kind of taken back, like, oh, I'm so sorry I didn't remember you.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a teachable moment. And I said to my team member, I said, when a client says, nice to meet you, don't take offense to it. Just say yes.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, but why? But we know them. And I said, understood. But if they don't remember you, because some people don't always remember faces or names, you're going to feel like you're somewhat insulting them, like, oh, I'm so sorry, I couldn't remember your name.
Yeah.
So every interaction, treat it as it's its first interaction.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good advice. You mentioned that you live and breathe Miami.
Yes.
Constantly exploring new restaurants, venues, and experiences.
It's a hard life.
Yeah, I know. It sounds great. Yes. How does this hunt for inspiration influence your concepts for events and to keep everything fresh?
I think Miami is such an interesting destination. And granted, I've been fortunate enough to plan events all over the world, thankfully. But Miami is something special. And I think Miami's soul, without getting too like spiritual, there's something different about Miami, the energy that it provides people. Yes, you have the beach, but you also have Little Havana. You have these wonderful venues that provide a glimpse of culture, whether it's Cuban or Puerto Rican or Haitian. I mean, there's such diversity in this city that it's refreshing to bring it all to life through events. And I try to, when you come to Miami, I think you want a little bit of that in your events. So we try to infuse a little bit of Miami culture into everything that we do, whether it's the food design, the color, whether it's tropical, whether it's the music. I think music is such an important part of any event. We've done Cuban bands, we've done Cuban, artists performing at our venues and our clients' events. And you want to bring all of those components together because that's what gives you the Miami vibe.
Sure.
And Miami it's a vibe on its own. You can't replicate it anywhere.
I know I've talked to marketing people and PR people that say they're based here in Miami, but regularly large PR or marketing firms hire somebody local.
Yes.
Because they know the flavor and they know the difference and they appreciate the fact that Miami is a place all unto its own, and it's nothing like Los Angeles, it's nothing like New York, and it's nothing like Rio. But it is unique, and you need the local talent and the local experience to pull off the right type of event or the right type of campaign here in Miami. So
absolutely, I think that's such an important thing to have. I think there are clients that bring people from the outside, but those people eventually wind up hiring us as consultants in a way.
Yeah, because how do they get to the local people? Yes,
they don't have the local connections. And you can apply this rule anywhere you go, right? Like if I were to travel to New York, I lean on those contacts. But the same thing would happen here, right? We've worked with companies in the UK, from Spain, from Colombia, from South America, from Rio, because they need a local person to guide them in the right direction. Because you could read something on Yelp that sounds great, but then when you get the local feedback on it, it may not be so great.
That's right.
So yes, the internet is great for some things like Yelp or Instagram or Pinterest, but you also want the local person's perspective, because you're not going to put something somewhere that's going to backfire on you.
Yeah, they have some great reviews as of last year, but management changed, and the place is no longer what it used to be.
And Miami,
or it closed.
Absolutely. And Miami is very fickle in that sense, right? Like Miami, some of my favorite restaurants have closed.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, but Miami's very fickle that way. They want what's shiny and pretty and new and sparkly and what's on Instagram and what's driven on social media. And unfortunately, the hype sometimes directs people that way as opposed to what the quality is.
Sure. It is really true. And, whether those reviews are true or right or are of the same taste as what you'd like is usually something very different.
Absolutely.
I know I was recommended a restaurant last night with fresh pasta by an Italian. And, it wasn't Olive Garden, but it certainly wasn't much above it. So, everybody's tastes are different. And and the breadsticks weren't free or unlimited.
No house salad before you're on
No house salad, no soup and salad deal. It was Miami Beach price, though. Thank goodness Michael brought his credit card and bought dinner, so it was all good. Anyway, you produced some jaw-dropping events and experiences, and I know that you have. I haven't been invited to all of them, which we'll talk about after the podcast, but in the future, I hope to be.
You'll be on the crew list.
There you go. Absolutely. Someone needs to take tickets. Can you talk about the factors that turned a project into a high ticket, high excitement event? And what's the real return on investment for a client to take it when they take it to that level?
I think when a client takes something like that to the next level, obviously they have to have ROI in mind. There's a lot of times where clients produce events or want to produce events, and they're missing that little element from it. Because at the end of the day, you're going to produce an event, whether it's for ROI from the media exposure that'll draw people into your brand, or because you're actually producing a for-profit event that you want someone to go and enjoy and you want to capture that audience. So I think it's important to, when you're designing these events, is to look at everything you're offering, whether it's food or the experience, the sensory of it all. Because at the end of the day, you have people walking into an event that they're not going to enjoy and they've paid X amount of dollars for, they'll leave. In the industry, in this field, you hear stories of like F1 events, for example, that people paid significant money to attend and they weren't blown away. So they literally walked in and left after an hour. And that's, if you have one person doing that, you're going to have multiple people having that same reaction, right? So when our team produces events, we take that into great consideration because we want people to feel something the minute you walk in until the minute you leave. Whether it's something simple as getting, night owl cookies as you're leaving, because that's like the sweet spot at the end, or just, having people greet you and say, thank you so much for coming. We hope you enjoyed your evening. And that's it. Like, you have to look at every component of the event, because if not, people will literally walk in and walk out. And if people are going to pay X amount of dollars for an experience, and I've had friends that have gone to festivals that I've literally walked in, it took them an hour to get food, and they literally left, and then they complained and wanted their money back.
Yeah.
So if my friends are having that experience, there's countless others that are having the same experience, because nobody wants to go wait in line an hour for a beverage or something to eat.
Right, or stand in line for some kind of drink or...
Exactly.
Or I think that the real clue is that you're halfway through the event and half the tables are empty because people have left.
Which tends to happen sometimes. Obviously, we don't work in events that way, thankfully.
There you go. I know.
But it tends to happen. I love going to events as a guest because you see different things, you get inspired differently. But sometimes you see those situations where at the end of the night or before the end of the night, half the audience in the back has already left.
Right.
And you're like, someone missed the ball.
Well, and isn't it important how you set up what's going on at the event too, to keep people there?
Absolutely.
And to use that type of expertise in the programming of it?
You took my word. The programming of it is so essential and so important because you want to make sure people are entertained. You want to make sure people are engaged because that is what drives the evening. People will walk up to the bar, grab a drink, be entertained, go back to their seat, continue having conversations with their guests. But at the end of the night, if there's no programming, or if at the end of the day, there's no programming, you lose the audience.
Yeah.
And it has to be good programming. And what I mean by that, you have to have either an MC or someone on stage that is personable, that captures the audience's attention, that'll make funny jokes and has a sense of humor, maybe a little self-deprecating, but if you don't have that kind of person on stage to lead and have the event flow, you might as well call it a night.
Yeah. I know I've been to events really recently where it clearly looked like they didn't have the budget to do it right. And really the event fails. It's better to do something smaller and less grand if it's not produced correctly. And I mean everything from the video presentations to
Absolutely.
You couldn't hear them talk, and
I 100% agree with that. And I think less is more. I've always thought less is more. And I think there's a beauty to simplicity that nobody really takes into account, whether it's designing a wedding or a corporate event or whatnot. Simplicity has a place in the event process, in the event design process, because you don't want to overthink too many things, because it's just like you're talking to one person and you want them to keep it as simple as possible.
Right.
You don't want it to be so informative that you lose them, because the human mind can only, after a drink or two, can only really want to absorb so much information.
There you go.
Right. You're there to have fun. You're there to have an experience. You're there to enjoy yourself.
That's right. And then if they ran out of drink, that'd be especially bad too.
And I'm also a firm believer, and through the years, obviously, if you don't have the proper budget to make something like X happen, then what does your budget create? Mm-hmm. Does it create Y? Does it create Z? Because you can still have a wonderful event with Y or Z, but it may not be as opulent as you'd like.
Yeah.
But again, you're not doing this for you. You're doing it for somebody else.
Your guest, yeah. Mm-hmm. So what's the most outrageous, unexpected request that a client has ever given you?
From my hotel days, obviously, I worked a lot with celebrities, so I have those stories of what those writers looked like, and they were just insane. Uh-huh. Some of them, not all of them. I think from this perspective of owning my own business, in the 7 years, I think the most insane requests are always the room flips, right? Like when you have the same event space for multiple days, and you're only given a finite amount of time to create something new and different.
Uh-huh.
So it's literally like taking this ballroom, for example, right? And the Mondrian staff with my team coming in and resetting it 3 times over with different colors, linens, tables, lighting, design, because all that is a production.
Yeah.
That takes time, right? You have to test lights, you have to test audio, you have to move tables around, you have to throw chairs up in the air to throw them from one side of the room to the other. Mm-hmm. It's just like that, I think, is always the most challenging part. And we've done that a few times. Obviously, for one of our entertainment clients, we've done that before as well. And that was always interesting because sometimes you use venues that are not conducive to events, but you still try to make them work because that's what the client wants. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's a blessing and sometimes that's a curse, but you make it happen anyway, right? Like that's what the client's paying you for.
Sure. For
creativity, to make it happen, and for you to produce something.
You told me you're getting really busy now.
Yes.
And it is season and all of that here. So, balancing an intense event schedule and the marketing that goes along with it, mm-hmm. and with a personal life can also be tough. How do you take the time to recharge and stay inspired?
What's a personal life? No, season is challenging always for any event professional in this business because it's our busiest time of year, right? It's in Miami at least, it's from October, late September, early October, all the way through May, June if you're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
So all those months are literally your bread and butter. So that's when you try to produce the most. That's when you try to have the most clients, the most meetings, obviously network as much as possible. But to take some time for yourself is obviously very important. I think when I first started, the difference from when I first started to now is that I've set boundaries. So like after 7 o'clock, unless it's a life and death emergency, I don't take calls from clients. I don't answer emails. I don't look at text messages, or I try not to, because I think you need to disconnect at some point throughout the day. Because if not, you'll be constantly wired 24/7. And are there days I'm like that? Absolutely. There's days I don't go to sleep till 2 in the morning because that's what the job requires and that's what the job entails. But for the most part, I try to set those boundaries because
boundary.
what I learned when I first started is that burnout is very easy. So you can't do everything in a single day. You just can't.
That's right.
So you prioritize what is important for that day and you prepare for the next day, and that's all you can manage.
The sun will come out tomorrow, right? Yes.
Yes.
There you go.
I could sing too. So
Oh, very good.
that's for the after show.
That's right. Well, no, I don't know. We may want to walk off the stage with that. So, but Frank and I are both on the board of the Miami-Dade LGBTQ plus Allies Chamber of Commerce. I know, Frank, our annual gala is something close to your heart.
Yes, it is.
And what's your vision behind it? And how do you ensure that it's going to become an unforgettable experience for all of us?
It's always fun.
With no budget. Yeah, no. Sorry.
True.
Or limited.
But it's always fun and difficult at the same time to plan events for people you know. So when we honored Steve this past year, that was a project of love, but at the same time, it was a project for a client, right? Because Steve is such a great friend. He's such a great person. And you wanted it to be something incredibly memorable and incredibly special. So you look at everything from registration, from when you first walk in, to then the silent auction items. How can we get partners to donate to increase visibility for the chamber? Then the cocktail hour, how does that flow? The music, the partners that are donating free complimentary liquor, the wines, the service, the food. Is it going to be easy to eat? Like, will people just, be able to just stand and eat something? You don't want anybody to be at a cocktail party and have to have food all over their mouth, right? You want people to take 2 bites and call it a day. And then, of course, the entrance, what you want the feel to be in the room, like how you want the lighting to look, and so on and so forth, right? Like the sound and everything else. And color plays a big deal into it as well, right? Like, what do numbers represent? Like 25, that's a big number. So typically that's a silver anniversary. So we incorporated silver into that, but also touches of blue, which is one of Steve's favorite colors. So we take all that into consideration in the design process because we want it to feel special, but also have someone's fingerprint on it. That's for Steve.
Very good.
You want people to be like, that was a Steve event.
Well, it was spectacular. You did a great job. And it was a memorable event. And anytime you can make Steve Atkins cry in front of a big group of people, it's wonderful. I live
for those days.
Yes. And well, stay tuned for April. Because Frank's going to be doing it again. So, and we're going to be excited on all the things that we're going to come up with. So
absolutely,
we invite everyone to show up at the downtown Hilton where that gala will be taking place, April 25th, right?
That is correct.
There
April 25th, 2026.
It's going to be great.
Save the date.
That's it. It's interesting. Frank has done some work for me personally, and I have to tell our audience that
of course,
my partner turned 50. We thought he should have a special birthday. And so I asked Frank to produce that for us, and he did. And did an unbelievable job in Fort Lauderdale. People are still talking about that as being the social event in Fort Lauderdale 2 years ago. So thank you, Frank. And Michael thanks you too.
It was a pleasure. And to be honest, I love clients like you that obviously you hire a planner for a reason, right? You hire a planner because they're the experts, because they're the ones that are going to get things done, because they have the experience to guide you in the right direction. And clients like you are the best because you're like, okay, this is exactly what I want. This is what I wanted. This is my budget. Make it happen. That is where we excel. And
after Frank, I helped him up from the floor after I told him what the budget was and what I wanted. It worked out beautifully. I will tell you that Michael's dream car was a yellow Corvette E-Ray, and he has been saving for it and ordered it and waited for it and waited for it. So I asked Frank I showed him a picture of this yellow Corvette, and I said, Frank, this needs to be the birthday cake. And he said, no problem. We can make that happen. I'm sure that he was thinking, oh my God, when I asked. But after the party, people took pictures of the Corvette. Michael took pictures of the Corvette. And occasionally now he shows people pictures of the cake instead of pictures of the actual car that finally came in and he's driving. So it was a great replica. So great job. Thank you. Sometimes
it takes experienced planners to have a good understanding of what the client wants, but also to know the right people to make it happen. There's obviously people that start off in this business that are like, yes, we can do that. I never say yes to anything I know I can't do, but most things I know I can make them happen because you develop over the time, right? The career.
Sure. You've got your sources and the
correct sources and the preferred vendors and everything else that'll make things happen for you brilliantly.
Yeah. I want to say thank you to Frank for all of the things that you've done for me personally and for my family, but also the time that you've taken with the chamber and to help us organize and grow and send it into the future in an orderly manner. So just as Frank has helped us organize the chamber is how he does everything and how those events come off without a hitch, or at least where none of the guests know that there's a hitch. And because there's always a hitch, I am sure, in every event, but where everyone enjoys it, and it's a great thing. So, Frank, thank you for that.
Thank you for that. And yes, events, 100% events are smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, no.
The clients never see what we go through as event planners or event professionals or producers, but the client, it's all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
And you never let them see you sweat.
Right.
And one thing I take great pride in my work is the clients have always said, we've never seen you stress.
Very good.
And it's like, you're not supposed to. If you see your planner stress, that's a problem.
Yeah. Terror grows.
Because it grows, right? You never want to give your client the feeling of uncertainty, right?
Yeah.
You always, even if the ballroom is exploding, you're like, everything is great. Everything is under control.
Pyrotechnics are good. Yes, I don't know.
We may be switching it to another room just because of better lighting, but
there you go. Yes.
There you go.
The pink lighting is in the other room.
Exactly.
Yes.
Miraculously, that just opened up.
That's right. Yes. Quite frankly. Frank, I like to end every podcast with kind of a little bit of a lightning round, as they call it, I think. So I'm kind of going to ask you some questions. Just tell us the first thing that comes to your head.
Sure.
Because everyone should know a little bit more about the magic behind the man. So
I love that.
First thing you do in the morning.
After I wake up, I have to have my Nespresso coffee.
Very good.
First thing.
Nice plug for Nespresso there too.
Yes.
I do the same. Coffee or cocktails?
Coffee.
Okay. A place in Miami everyone must experience.
Ooh, that's a great question. Cafe La Trova, Michelle Bernstein's restaurant.
Oh, okay. Where is that?
On Calle Ocho.
Oh, very good.
It's the quintessential Miami restaurant.
Be there, be square. Favorite travel destination for inspiration?
Paris, Madrid, or Bali.
All very similar.
All very similar.
The most surprising event location you've ever worked in?
That's a great question, too. There's a venue in Chicago where I designed 3 separate parties in one building.
Cool.
Yes.
One thing people would be shocked to learn about you.
I'm a twin. No, that's kind of boring. I actually enjoy my alone time. I think as an event producer, you give so much of yourself and your time to people that those quiet times at home, just like reading a book or watching a movie, or I love going to dinners with myself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that would surprise people, I think.
Very good. If you weren't producing events, what would you be doing?
I would either be in the fashion industry or some sort of journalism. I love telling stories, and I feel like events tell stories through design. So I would be in one of those fields.
Frank Bustamante, event producer, hospitality expert, and detail-driven visionary. What I love about Frank's story is how he took the mechanics he learned at the front desk and turned them into magic moments for clients worldwide. It's proof that knowing the nuts and bolts is just as important as dreaming big. Until next time, I'm Marty Davis. Thank you very much, Frank, for being here.
Thank you, Marty.
Reminding you all that details matter, people matter, and every event is a chance to create something unforgettable if you have the right team. Thank you again,
Well
Frank.
said. I'm going to steal that.
Please do. Yes.